There's that amazing, what was it? It was in Rebels, where she fights Vader.
One of the greatest Star Wars
and he says,
things ever.
And when she cracks the mask and you see his eye, and he says in the voice, I'm gonna cry again. Comics, movies, hard. Movies, I want to say movies because, boy, they gave me everything. But comics fed the movies. Like, you know, I was only able to do what I did because of a steady diet of comic books. So it's a chicken or the egg question. Here. Movies age and comic books don't. So I'll go with comic books. You know, Spider-Man's origin story, created how many years ago for Amazing Fantasy, and only those few pages still works today. Spider-Man 3 doesn't. So I'd say because comics age better, comics. Namor didn't have a cool sound effect.
Namor was just a dick half the time.
He was, and he always looked angry, whereas Aquaman, oh, being a geek now. Being a geek in the 90s was fun because it was an exclusive club. Like, you were in a garage, you were fans of a garage band, so to speak. But, oh my Lord, like, the amount of over-explaining that you'd have to do to people for your references and stuff like that. You know, now you don't have to at this point. Now you could be like, this is as small as Ant-Man. I need the Pym particle, man. And suddenly people are like, I saw that movie. Pym, Hank Pym, Ant-Man, yes. Like, you know, everyone gets the references now. When we made Mallrats, Stan Lee was somebody that, like, in the movie, everybody knew who he was. Like, oh, he's super famous. But in the real world, people were like, oh, is that man created Spider-Man? Is that so? I had no idea. And, you know, he was
co-created before the Kirby fans.
Co-created, my bad.
Co-created.
Spider-Man's baby daddy, one of them. And so now we live in a world where everybody knows who Stan Lee is. In 1995, Mallrats painted a picture of a world I most wanted to live in, where pop culture led the discussion. Comics, superheroes and stuff. And now we live in that world. Yeah. So yeah, I'd say this rather than that. AHSOKA.
With you
AHSOKA, and not because I dislike Rey, I think Rey is wonderful, but AHSOKA has the emotional tie to Anakin Skywalker, and there's that amazing, what was it? It was in Rebels, where she fights Vader.
One of the greatest Star Wars things ever.
And when she cracks the mask and you see his eye, and he says in the voice, I'm gonna cry again, and he says in the voice that's not James Earl Jones, AHSOKA. Like, and there's that one moment where she's like, Anakin, and then he goes dark side. I mean, I want that character, we all do, I think every Star Wars fan would love to see that character pulled into the cinematic universe. She's a valuable asset. She's a beloved character in the universe. She just hasn't been in the movies yet. But in a world where, sadly, we lost Carrie Fisher, you don't get a lot of bites at the Princess Leia apple anymore. It's important to bring in a strong female character, and we do have that in Rey, of course, but AHSOKA is also just visually interesting and a Jedi, trained by Anakin. She's awesome, she looks great, and she's powerful, and she should be played by Rosario Dawson. But you could do just a whole movie about her and introduce her into the saga.
Like how you threw the casting out there.
Thank you. Oh.
It's the Sophie's choice for Kevin Smith.
It really is. Well, Mallrats, like, more resembles the world we live in, but then again, so does Chasing Amy to some degree. Everyone's very gender fluid now. Well, here, I'll pick Mallrats because at the end of the day, Chasing Amy is kind of heartbreaking. It's the story of a relationship gone wrong because people can't come to terms because they can't get on the same page. Whereas Mallrats, you know, they break up, but they get together by the end, and it's all about fun and being friends and, you know, beating the overlords and, you know, win one for the little guy. Chasing Amy is way more complex. So, you know, if I have to pick one or the other, I'm gonna pick the fun, light, fun one that talks about all the things I love, comic book culture and stuff like that. And Chasing Amy does that as well, but, you know, it's just serious and it's about the heart. And ultimately, comics are the background of the setting, but it's really about, like, you know, a guy's inability to get over his insecurity. So I'll go with Mallrats. It's a lot more fun.